A.D.E.V.
Okay, welcome back. Now, let's move on to point 4. In this case, the use of the simple past. In other words, when do we use the simple past? So we use the simple past for a past action whose moment is for a past action, okay, whose moment is mentioned. In other words, is known, is mentioned, or implied. Or implied. In other words, or is left to be understood. For example, he met his father last night. When did he meet his father? He met his father last night. So last night is the moment when he met his father. So you can see the moment here is mentioned. But sometimes, depending on the context, okay, the moment is not mentioned, but it is implied. For example, she took a taxi. She took a taxi. Okay, the speaker implies this morning, or at 9 or at 8. Okay, now, one thing that you should bear in mind is that the simple past is often associated. The simple past is often associated with these words. That is, when, for a girl, or during. So very often, when you see these words in a sentence, okay, this means that the simple past, the use of the simple past is required. Just to give you an example, you can say he came back. He came back 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago. He came back 2 hours ago. When did he come back? 2 hours ago. So the use of ago here implies or requires, the use of the simple past here. He came back 2 hours ago. That is, this means that 2 hours went by, okay, past, since he came back. Okay? Now, since you are French speakers, since your national language is French, and since this is another foreign language, okay, you must be wondering what it means in French. But you understand, of course, okay, the use of the simple past, but one question you must be asking yourself is, what does it mean in French? What tense does the simple past correspond to? And this brings us to the translation. 1.5, translation of the simple past. So the simple past has three different translations. Three different translations. First, it can be translated. It can be translated by what we call by l'imparfait. For example, can say, I knew you were in. I knew you were in. In French, we say, je savais que tu, ou vous, et tu étais là, que vous étiez là, que vous étiez à l'intérieur. Là, ici, par le sens de à l'intérieur, dans la maison. Ouais, ici, l'imparfait. Now, the other tense that correspond, that the simple past correspond to, is le passé composé. Okay? So, le passé composé. But on condition that the sentence has an expression of time. Passé composé. For example, he came back home. He came back home at midnight. At midnight. Midnight. He came back home at midnight. Il est rentré à minuit. Il est rentré à minuit. He came back home at midnight. Now, the third and last possibility, is le passé simple. Le passé simple. For example, suddenly, he fell down. Suddenly, he fell down. So, suddenly, he fell down. Meaning, soudain, il tomba. So, three tenses that through which the simple past is correspond to. Okay? L'imparfait, 1, 2, le passé composé, and 3, le passé simple. That's all. There is no other tense in French. Now, let's move on to point B. To part B, which is the past tense continuous. Past tense continuous. Now, first, how do we construct this tense? Very easy. Subject plus was or were plus the ing form or ing form. Very easy. Subject, was, were, and the ing form. For example, I was cooking breakfast. Breakfast. I was cooking breakfast. Here you have an example of the past continuous. Now, when we use this tense, there is a question that certainly comes to your mind, and this is when to use. So, we use this tense for a past action that was taking place at a given moment, before it was, of course, interrupted by another action. So it is for an action, okay, going on in the past, okay, before it was momentarily interrupted. Okay. For example, you can say, when you called, we were having dinner. When you called, we were having dinner. So, we were having dinner. That activity was going on for some time in the past before the call. So, your call interrupted us, okay, for a few minutes, but did not cause us to stop having dinner. So, this moment, this action was going on when it was interrupted by the other action. In French, we would say, lorsque tu as appelé, nous étions en train de dîner. Oh, nous dînions, nous étions en train de dîner. Okay, and this brings us to the end of today's lesson. But before I take leave of you, I'm going to give you an exercise.